It's time to know what's on the front pages of Nigerian newspapers. And joining me is Chartered Accountant and Public Affairs Analyst Olusegun Okwade and CEO CKN News, Chris Kehinde Nwandu. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank God it's Friday.
Absolutely.
It's good to
the
be
weekend
here.
is here.
Yes, we are here.
All right, let's head straight to the papers now, and I begin with the business day. Nigeria's beans still not good enough for EU ban extended. Nigeria's beans still not good enough for EU ban extended. You find a story on the front page of the business day. And we move to the Daily Trust now. Gunmen kill 10 in Katsina, abduct 81 in Niger, Taraba, dozens injured, cows rustled at Shema village. Kidnappers of Takum youth ask for ransom. Synergy key to ending insecurity, experts. And on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct now, PIB, Senate pushes for reduced cost of crude oil production. PIB, Senate pushes for reduced cost of crude oil production. On the front page of the Leadership newspaper now, new service chiefs, expectations high in Northwest and Northeast as residents sends SOS. All right, that story you find on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. To the national economy now, PNB stops planned privatization of NCX, approves new 50 billion naira investment for exchange, stakeholders roof poor infrastructure, logistics hiccups in commodities value chain. To the Daily Times now, 90 million Nigerians to fall below extreme poverty line. 90 million Nigerians to fall below extreme poverty line. You find a story on the front page of the Daily Times. To the Daily Independent now, herdsmen attacks. Southwest governors move to reposition Amotekun. Southwest governors move to reposition Amotekun. Daily Independent, that's where you find that story. To the Punch newspapers, kidnappers, gunmen hold sway, abduct 75, kill 18. Abductors seize scores of wedding guests in Niger, Taraba. Assailants gun down residents in Katsina, Kaduna. Suspected cultists storm Delta communities, kill 5. To the New Telegraph, PIB protect our investment, oil producers tell National Assembly. PIB protect our investment, oil producers tell National Assembly. The Nation newspaper now, Ohaneze North Elders Fort Service Chief's choice. Obiozo South is still excluded in security team. Burate hands over recalls how Obasanjo nearly retired him. You find the story on the front page of the Nation newspaper. To the Daily Sun now, Nigeria gets worst global corruption ranking since 2015. Drops to 149 in Transparency International rating. Absence of transparency, nepotism, bribery, corruption, others used for ranking. Buhari deserves credit for diminishing corruption in public service. Presidency, PDP mocks government, APC. All right, to The Guardian now. Stakeholders examine impact of corruption as Nigeria drops to lowest point on corruption index since 2013. Buhari deserves credit for diminishing corruption, says presidency. War against corruption requires participation of all citizens. That story on the front page of The Guardian. To the Vanguard now. Farmers' herdsmen clashes. Southwest governors Afeni Ferry blast Sharia Council over ranching. Igongo attack. You fail to arrest Igboho. Sarkim Fulani tackles police. Says 7 of his relations were killed. 2 corpses still missing. Igboho has no right to issue eviction notice to herders. Falano Ogun Assembly calls for Amotekun takeoff. Declare killer herdsmen as a terrorist group now. And to the front page of the Blueprint, which is the last paper. 48 hours after service chiefs take over, bandits kill 5, abduct 2 kids, 82 others in Kaduna, Niger, Taraba. Zamfara receives 7 repentant gunmen, 14 AK-47 rifles, jet fighters kill scores in Kaduna air raid. All right, gentlemen, we'll be looking at with the service chiefs. That's the new ones that a lot of persons said that the president finally about to pressure to accept the resignation of the former service chiefs and appoint new ones. But then there's been controversy with their appointment on the one hand, and the president, on the other hand, has given them marching orders. He has told them that the security situation, we seemingly are in a state of emergency and so should get to work. And for a lot of persons, they are asking that if we are to build on what the former service chiefs have so-called they achieved, aren't we to check, okay, why they did not gain as much? They did not, were unable to perhaps make as much winnings, if I may use that word. Is that where we should start for you? What more should we be expecting from this new service chiefs? Let me start with you, Chris.
Well, the service chiefs have their work cut out for them. I don't envy them. For me, this is going to be a sprint rather than a marathon for them.
Really?
Yes, because they have to hit the ground running
as quickly
as possible. There are so many miles to be covered, and there's no time to cover it. But good enough, they've been involved in the operations of the various security forces as officers, so they know where the shoe pitches, and they now decide whether to wear socks.
So what should they do differently?
Well, they have to re-strategize. Strategy is part of military. They have to look at what, most often than not, when we discuss this thing on national television, for instance, when I just, some of my friends in the military, CK, you are not a soldier now, you don't know what it is, that kind of stuff. But I don't need to be a military man to be able to know that there are certain things we need to put in place. Information gathering has been a problem with us. The use of technology has been a serious problem with us, especially with our military. Building confidence between the various communities where we're having insurgency has always been, there's been this disconnect in terms of communication. And because of that, so people are not coming forward to give vital information, which is very, very key in the fight against insurgency. Most often than not, you have to realize that even the bandits are getting more getting more confidence with people living around. And then within the military itself, they have to look at the possibility of nipping the bud, the moles in the military, who gives out vital information to bandits and the rest of them. There have been so many instances where security agencies are going for operation. Before they get there, the bandits are already waiting for them. You understand what I'm trying to say? So then, I don't think this is time for us to so much engage in the controversies of where these people come from, how competent they are, National Assembly and the rest of them. Yes, the right thing needs to be done, and we must state that. For me, they are still on acting capacity, whether we like it or not, because they have not been confirmed by the Senate as stated by the law. Until they are confirmed by the Senate, they cannot be seen as full-fledged service chiefs. We must get that. But that does not necessarily, we cannot leave that vacuum. The service chiefs, the other ones have started, they've handed over. We cannot leave that apparatus to just because the Senate. There are two things we need to do quickly. The Senate either have to reconvene quickly for a day to confirm the service chiefs, so as to make sure that they have all the necessary powers to work with. And secondly also is the fact that those that are taking over, this for me, probing should not be the issue now. For me, has been said by the opposition party. Yes, we will probe, but let us quickly, for now, that is not the focus. Yes, that's the focus for me. It shouldn't be.
Before I come to you, Sheson, we need to quickly go on a short break. We will return to continue the conversation. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us, and we are still looking at the stories on the front pages of the papers. Our focus this morning being the president's statement saying that we are in an emergency with regards to security, and he has given marching orders to the new service chiefs to address the situation. And before we went on the break, CKN was touching on how, what they can do differently. And now I move to Sheson. Sheson, the issue now for a lot of persons is that this new crop of service chiefs need to ensure that they write their name in gold. How can they do that? Because for some persons, they believe that perhaps that the true picture of what is going on is not being relayed to the president.
Yeah, writing your name in gold is surrounded and entrenched with a lot of things. How equipped are you as an individual? and the person giving you the job, what are the apparatus that I've actually put in place? I listened to some of my friends analyzing some of this issue, and I think I want to go in line with some of them by saying it's not just having the service chiefs. There are other issues. How are you motivating the people that are, at the front burn, fighting this war? How enthusiastic are they to go out every day and say, we want to conquer this war? That thing must be there. If you work in an organization and you wake up in the morning and all you think of is, do I feel like going to work today? Definitely you won't give in your best because nothing is driving you. So I think part of the things they need to do, as CKN said, in forming the strategy is how do we motivate those people? How do you want to attract more people to say, I want to lay my life and, go to the war and attack and make sure some of these things are done, So that must be a very important thing that this new service chief must try as much as possible to do. Because even if you get all the equipment, to get everything there, people are not motivated to work. Definitely you won't get any delivery. So on my own part, I think the human resources that we have, the people that are out there, let them be properly motivated in such a way that they want to give their all and say, yes, I'm ready to lay my life.
So
just
they need to build that relationship with those.
You see, there is, if you look at most of the videos that go viral, you discover that there's a disconnect between those leaders and the people that are actually carrying out the operation from there, because they feel the eye up there are just enjoying so many things while they are out there suffering. So you must close the gap, and there must be constant communication. I think I'll give it to the former chief of army staff. You must be there, not just sitting in Abuja. You must get involved in the activities. Check on some of those guys and make sure that they have your own sympathy. That empathy must be there, that we are in it together, not just giving instruction. I think they must look at that area strategically as we welcome some of the machinery that they used to need to work. But human resources is very key and very fundamental if they must succeed.
Now, he has mentioned one aspect that a lot of persons have spoken about, the aspect of the morale. Another aspect that a lot of persons are looking at is checking sharp practices, corruption that has been said to be going on within the force.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes.
Yeah. Well, yes, it's very vital. But also, have we done what we need to do? Have we done the needful? There are instances where we know, as journalists, that even at times the service chiefs have to go cap in hand to the Minister of Finance to beg for funds to be released for payment of even salaries. There are instances where the former chief of staff, on his own, has to sort for funds to pay salaries of soldiers. Motivationally, most of our soldiers are not well motivated. And that in itself is a problem. And
so does that mean that we are not treating the situation as an emergency,
yes,
as been said by
exactly.
the president?
That is the situation. That is the situation. But even at that, you still we cannot hang it totally on that. The fact is that the government, as it were, presently is doing the best they can under the circumstances where we find ourselves in terms of revenues and the rest of them. Security and military takes the highest chunk of our budgets.
Right.
You know that?
Yes.
So that in itself is a problem. We've had a high level of corruption. Yes, it's true. Don't forget, recently, there was a general whose aides made away with over 300 million naira cash. I'm sure you are aware of that. I think recently he was court-martialed and the rest of them. If one general could find himself holding on to over 300 million, that large chunk of money, whereas there are so many various videos where you see soldiers in the field, on the field, begging for water to drink, who remain in the bush for 3 days and they cannot eat, and the rest of them. Then that's a challenge. So it is a holistic thing. Apart from we looking at the point that yes, they are underfunded or overfunded, and within the military itself, there is a high level of corruption going. And this also brings us to the point that some people also feel that the military, to some extent, allegedly, are also trying as much as possible to fuel the crisis. That's with these allegations that right. is everywhere. They are trying to fuel the crisis to make sure that they get some level of funds and the rest of them. That is part of what I think the present hierarchy of there should be some level of credibility. We should bring some level of credibility to what we are doing. And there must be a synergy, which is very, very vital. among the various agencies of security. Because even the former national security advisor said there was no synergy between the various. The Navy does not know what the Army is doing. Army does not know what the Air Force is doing. DSS does not do. At the end of it, everybody is just trying to, keep to his comfort zone and keep secrets and keep their secret. And when you don't share intelligence reports, that in effect affects the war against insurgency. If the Air Force cannot be able to provide the necessary cover for the Army to go down, because normally what is supposed to happen is that the Air Force is supposed to go for
efforts
clear
on the ground.
Clear the ground for Army to move in. But when you are now calling the Air Force, I remember I was in 2018 or 2019. I was one of those that were invited to the military to Borno, and I went as far as Baga. We went as far as Baga, and when we came back, the military commander of Lafiya Dole, General Adeniyi, was complaining bitterly to we journalists. This was the same person that complained the last time on that video that was released. Yes. He was complaining bitterly that he didn't have all the necessary things to work with. And what happened? And when the video went viral, what the chief of army staff, instead of trying to help the young man, they demoted him. Yes. That in itself does not show people that are very, very serious about it. If some of your officers on the field are telling you, these are the challenges we are having, sir. Despite the fact that I don't know how the video leaked, but instead of helping him out, what you did was to demote him and now make him. So we need to look at the sincerity of purpose on the part of service teams to make sure that their boys on ground are ready to follow them. It's one thing for you to have the cardinal point and lay out the agenda. But if the boys on ground are not in sync with you, then you're going to have problem. And that is what part of the problem we have. You saw the video that went viral. Most of the naval officers were jubilating when the chief of naval staff.
It's not verified though.
I'm telling you for a fact.
Right.
Because especially the Navy, for the former chief of naval staff, we have a way of getting our information. That man sat on the promotion of most of his officers. If you've been watching some of our colleagues on journalist angles, you'll be seeing that has been trending. Most of the officers that were supposed to be promoted were not promoted, which is why most of them, morally, they just feel that we have nothing at stake. So when you call such people to come and lay their lives, is it possible? If you're not taking care of them, and as well as make sure that if anything happens to them, their family will be able to get something in return. Those are the motivation the American soldiers get, because they know that if anything happens to them today, their family will not suffer. Go and see the families of most of the soldiers that died in the war front. Go and see the policemen that were killed. What happened to them? It's only the state governments are now coming up. Wike gave 10 million.
These are the issues that have to be addressed.
It has to be addressed, my dear sister. It's a big problem.
Well, like Siki and then, you see, it's problem that is so enormous that we can't identify. But the fact remains that if we are not well secured, all the advocation of saying that we are going to have a better economy, it's not going to work. Government must be sincere in terms of security if we want to grow. Where there is no security, nobody can go out for. You can see some of the others. 20 people died, 80 people injured, you are being kidnapped. But so, see, I've not left Lagos in the last 6 months, even to as close as where my friend goes to nearly every weekend, because I'm scared. It's not a situation where you just pick people because they have money. You just pick at random.
So you're scaring me.
I'm not scaring you, but the fact remains that I've seen scenario of friends that will just be moving on this and the next thing you hear that they've been kidnapped. Let's put resources together and see how we can rescue them. So I told myself, anywhere I can't fly to, I would not just be there, as close as this our neighboring state, because you can't just predict. So government must take the issue of security with all seriousness, because on that premise, like few years ago, 3-4 years ago, I traveled all the parts of this country by road, all the way to Ebonyi, all the way to Akure, Edo, go to Kaduna. I don't fly because the nature of my work entails that I have to stop practically at every city. But these days, I've We drop back to my shell,
Well.
and the only place I have to stay is Lagos. Even with Lagos, I know where to go to. So, government must take the issue of security. If we must grow other arms of, this place, economic-wise, developing our
way.
people, security is very paramount.
Though the government has said it is committed to ensuring the security of lives and property, well, we hope that
It's the
this
we have
had
this
this commitment now.
Let us call it what it is. Like we've
Let's
had this.
trust the government
We
now.
have been trusting.
We've been
with the new
trusting.
service chief.
The fact is that
right.
the fact remains that the government of President Muhammadu Buhari should seek security as paramount
All right.
to the lives and properties of Nigerians, and most especially this level of nepotism and trying to make people feel that they are not secure in certain parts of the country. We should be able to address that. I saw the newspaper
have to go
northwest and northeast. It is not only northwest and northeast. It's
Southwest,
the totality of Nigeria, including where I come from.
Okay. Satisfied now?
Satisfied.
CKN, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You have a nice weekend.
And you too.
Thank you.